नमस्कार व्यूअर्स। आज हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे द साइंटिफिक हिंदुइज्म और मेरे साथ मेरे को होस्ट हैं शरद जी। नमस्कार
So, namaskar. In Corona era, when everybody is worried with the COVID-19 virus or other bacteria, we will discuss this topic is very relevant. The Hindu way of handling things, and so Aditi ji, क्या बात कर रहे हैं हम लोग इस पे?
So coronavirus has literally taken the world by storm in a way because but I think one of the first reaction even though India reacted late by March 10, and that's when they reacted first and they stopped the immigration and everything. But it's very surprising that India has been, even though 1.3 billion people, but as a percentage, very few people are affected. And so I think many things also go to the Indian culture also, where Indian culture is mostly doing namaste, holding your hands, and but in Iran, which has spread the maximum, Iran and South Korea, so Iran has a culture where they mostly embrace each other, and that's where it is spread most. And even Italy also, Italy, even though Italy is far away, but still it has spread a lot. So, so it's my personal opinion that the Indian culture and the food and the social habits have contributed a lot in India being away from this kind of epidemic.
Yeah, I mean, to conclude that simply, it needs some research, but from the top, what it looks like is definitely the Sanatan way of living, and in India, whether it's a Hindus or Muslim, generally the people will do namaste. There is less embracing, right? And then the washing of hand is part of the Indian culture, which is not part of if you're say Islamic, and if you're coming from Arabian countries, and you mentioned about Persia, Iran, there is a kissing. They do slight kissing, right? So that and what we are hearing from Corona is uh, you have to have a social distance and all those things. So they do a lot of things which will definitely help spread this in India, and especially in the Sanatan Dharma. We do namaste. We wash our hand before we eat. We wash our hand after we eat, and then the regular hygiene thing. Even though people are not that clean compared to Western standard, but again, these standards are again self-defined by Western countries. To people who don't wash the hand, use sanitizer. They're preaching India, a country which normally washes their hand whenever they eat, and they wash their teeth. I've seen in village people after eating, they put their finger in their mouth and they do gargling and all those things. They do a lot of things, and especially the people who eat a greasy food. I've seen that people doing all those things. So there are a lot of good things inbuilt in the system. And India has probably one of the largest boundary with China. Not, I'm not saying the largest, but one of the large, is around 3,000 to 4,000 kilometers with China, and still, and there are around 100K people who travel from China to India for different business-related things. So a lot of carriers have been coming. Still, India has not been affected that badly compared to Iran or Italy. Italy, I'm surprised. I don't know whether it's because of the Vatican, what kind of economy Italy is, where people will be traveling. I mean, it's not even uh, England or France or Germany. So that needs to be done. Whether one guy was able to spread to all, something happened. But just to find from the trend perspective, definitely the Sanatan way is the way which takes care of this. And then the another part is the eating habit, right? So if you see, most of our food is not meat oriented, right? It's not. People in India, even I've seen a lot of Muslim friends, especially in North, they they do not eat the mammals. Uh, I have to validate that, but they do not eat. Only the very lower section of that community eats that. They do not eat that because even some of them think that because so the culture doesn't come only from the book; it's also from the way the land, right? And the land is Sanatan, and the whole thought process is Sanatan, which politicians are taking into a different way. They're using it to divide the society, whereas this should have been used to bring people together. So yeah, I mean, I feel that this is my observation, and yeah, you can
No,
also have.
and one more thing is the effort of the Indian government has been very vast. Like for example, they set up immediately the coronavirus detention centers, which can accommodate more than 200,000 people. The National Health Department of the Modi government, they went out of the way in training most of the major urban centers, training them for prevention. And the specific emphasis was to quarantine people who are landing. So they acted very fast. Anyone who is landing from abroad or anywhere else were quarantined, and it is in effect right now for 14 days. So all these things, I think they actually helped, and uh, it actually helped in a big way. Don't you think so?
I agree. In fact, it's so. See, I don't. We don't want this program to be pro-government or anti-government, but what is very important is we should praise where government has done a great thing. For example, India, with all this economy and all the challenges it's facing right now, is the only country from the scale perspective which has evacuated all of its citizens from all the infected areas of the world. That is number one. Number two, India has helped Israel by giving medicine, which in this type of natural calamity or in this kind of a big national calamity, not natural, national calamity, people will procure your medicine for bad days. India volunteered to help Israel with the medicine to counter corona, right? So that was one of the great things. Even Iran, which has lately been taking anti-India stand and very bad stand by uh, telling to India that because of the Kashmir policy, they will cut India out of the OIC. This is the statement given by their highest authority, which was shock to India. And even Iran, which is supposedly Aryan civilization, so called, and epitome of all the knowledge, they pleaded India to build a lab to test the corona because cannot even build a lab. And these guys are talking about nuclear, the way their politicians carry themselves. You see the TV, the way they look like so affluent from a different world, the aura which they create on the TV. And these buggers cannot even do a corona test. And they are requesting India to create a lab. And I was just hearing Mr. Harsh what is India's health minister, current health minister, he was giving example. He's saying that we had flown tons of uh, um, lab equipment to Iran. It landed in Iran. It is now stuck in the custom because there's a custom thing to be done before it could be used. He has flown. India has already flown that entire set to do the corona testing. India has helped out of it to Mauritius. So two countries India has helped: Mauritius and Israel, which a lot of people don't know on the medicine perspective. So India has done that, and people are quarantined on the airport. Uh, one of the example I would say is, even though we live in America, I was talking to one of our friend. I won't name him, but he just came from India just this Friday, and I don't think he was quarantined on any of the airport. He just landed here. I think instead of California, his plane landed in New Jersey, and from New Jersey he came to California. But this was just this Friday, 3 days back, 4 days back. So America is still gearing up, and when I go out to the store, I don't see a lot of essential commodities. So I'm questioning the supply chain management. In just 1 or 2 days, entire store goes out of business. This is the country not out. I mean, out of stock, and this is the place which is the richest country in the world. What kind of supply chain we have? And who will benefit of all this tamasha of fear? China, the country which created this. And nobody has blamed or even pointed finger on China. In fact, people are praising. In fact, that British guy said that if Corona had broken in India, then world would have seen a different picture. It would have. So people are. So China's machinery is working 24/7 to negate any negative image it will create. A lot of things going on. It's not just a corona. It's like every attribute of humanity, greed, politics, power, strength, and then in the end, the righteousness, the Sanatan way. Everything has been tested.
No, you're right, absolutely. And one of the things I was discussing, I was seeing in the Rig Veda, and where there is a process to eliminate all types of ketanu, and many people are trying it also, and which is mentioned in there as part of yajna. And I was shortly, I think I'll receive from somebody in India, very prominent personality, a kit for the US, where at least the Hindu families or people who want to try something to disinfect their own homes can also try. And so we may have to do that. And also there is a age old practice in India to burn neem leaves for remove disinfecting the house. And many people are also saying that if you can put neem leaves and a little bit turmeric in it and burn it, then it might also clean the air that we have within the house. So all those things are meant to be tried. But I'm as this crisis is going on and many people are getting affected, anything, uh, a new solution we can try. But I have, since I have more faith in our Hindu culture, then the scientific aspect of Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma is so high. It maintains hygiene. It talks about killing the germs in the air, even though it's a more spiritual process. But the byproduct is the air becomes clean.
So
And
I will just interject for 1 minute. So the very concept of yagna and fire, right, which is the thing, right? So when you burn the camphor, when you burn ghee, right, it's kapoor bolte hain. So when you burn all those things in the air, it's a disinfectant. It definitely kills a lot of harmful bacteria, which is common flus. So yeah, now this needs to be re-looked and re-researched in a different perspective.
yeah, that's right. That's right. And I think viewers, that said, stay safe and follow. If you're in the US, follow the CDC guidelines, and if you're in India, then follow the National Institute of Health (NIH) guidelines, and keep yourself safe and clean. And if you get a chance, if you have those symptoms, which are very commonly told, then go yourself, get tested, and start the medication what is necessary. But signing off, and a very scientific Hinduism, that's our topic of today's. And we are indeed proud to be part of that culture. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you.